want to spend a little bit of time today sharing with you my joy and deep appreciation of geometric patterns, and also related to those, some Celtic knots. For me, these kind of patterns, really, really simple geometric patterns, feel to be the first sprouting from the field of the unmanifest or source of pure creative intelligence, the first sprouting into manifestation. These really simple geometric patterns, circles, squares, triangles, and of course they're three-dimensional forms like spheres and cubes and pyramids. So I've been this, what I would call it, sacred geometry. I don't really know what this phrase sacred geometry really means, but to me, geometry is very sacred, and that it seems to be the underpinning of all of creation. And my most recent foray into it has come about when I enrolled in a online course that was based on aligning us with the eightfold seasons of the Celtic calendar. So there's those 4 seasons that we all know of in modern world: winter, spring, summer, and fall. And then in between each of these quarters of the year, there's a cross quarter. There's another season, so making 8 seasons altogether. What I wanted to show you today was some representations I made for this midsummer that would coincide with our season of summer that starts around the June 21st or so. It slightly changes from day to day, each calendar year. But we all know that in that time of the year, in the Northern Hemisphere, the sun is at its highest point in the sky, and that this sunlight is the longest days of sunlight happen at that time of year. Many mystical and energetic traditions equate the sun with masculine principles. And so this particular course of study that I've been doing wants to have that alignment with this masculine principle, or suggests we can have an alignment with the masculine principle during this midsummer time. And to really empower ourselves with something that could be masculine, the idea of making a shield, a solar shield, a shield that could protect us in times of adversity and challenge. And so and there was a suggestion as to a diagram that we could use on our shield. We weren't required to use that, but there was a suggestion. Now I had this thought, I could pick up my shield and put it in front of me at times of that felt challenging, but that I also wanted to wear a breastplate, something that would be wearable, that I could wear over my chest, that could be a protection for the heart. So I started to embark on some diagrams of some Celtic origin. And I wanted to show this to you a little bit. And also, before I show the first one, I would try to make these diagrams, just I'd kind of see a picture of it and I'd try to sketch it out. And I'd always utterly fail until I started to dissect it through more study and tutorials to what was the underlying pattern underneath that. And then the diagram itself became quite easy. So let me share my screen. So I wanted to make a circular Celtic knot to frame my breastplate. And what I wanted to show you is here, this kind of grid within the circle, and then these little dots within the grid. And once that grid is formed, then there can be connections between these dots. Little lines can be drawn. And then on top of the lines, curves can happen to start creating this kind of a knotted or braided pattern. So this was just a sketch for me to see if I could really make it work. And then when I was able to make it work, I made a better version of it. I inked it in and made this what I was calling a breastplate. I wanted the colors to be soft, to protect and this knotted pattern, which is on top of this rather basic grid, is revealed in its beauty. I knotted some hearts together to again, protect my heart. Now the shield was the next thing I wanted to do. And for this, there was a suggestion from our teacher. You can look in the comments, I'll reference her there, to make a very old design that consisted of a circle, a central circle that's surrounded by 6 circles. And then triple spirals are placed in each of the circles. So here first, I made my central circle, and then I surrounded it by 6 similar sized circles. And then I I intersected each one of them. At that point, with the intersections, I could begin to see some patterns that were emerging, especially because I wanted to make a triple spiral in each of these circles. And to make a triple spiral, I needed to divide the circle into 3 equal segments. And in that division, I saw that there were sort of patterns that began to emerge. A star shape began to emerge within these, when I dissected or trisected the circles. And then within each of those circles, I began to draw my triple spirals. And I realized that I had to orient them very precisely according to, you can see that again, there is a, if I divide my central circle into 6 equal parts, each of these radiates out to the circle in a very specific way. And then it was the matter of coloring in these spirals so that you could see how they were interlapping. And so here is the coloring of my spiral, where you can see the center one, the pink is connected to 2 circles. The blue is connected to 2 circles. The purple is connected to 2 circles, and so on. There's an interconnection between all of these. So again, that interconnected part of life, what really speaks to me, and it gets displayed in this particular shield pattern. I actually chose the colors for this shield pattern. I was thinking of using more fiery colors like the sun at its zenith at this midsummer time. But because I wanted it to kind of go with my breastplate, I chose similar colors to the breastplate, which were dictating a softer palette. Here are the 2 together. My breastplate, which could be worn all the time energetically and imaginatively, and then the shield that I can pick up as needed. So there you have it, my foray into Celtic Knots, into aligning myself with an 8-fold calendar and into sacred geometry and the underlying patterns that fuel them. Thank you.